Hey everybody, I am making little acorn dangle charms for your junk journals or art journals or whatever you want to put them on. They're just really cute. I'm using real acorn caps. Just find them out in the yard. They're just a little cap where the acorn has come out, or the squirrels have ate them or whatever. Just little caps. And I'm using some just air dry clay, just cheap air dry clay. You can use black, white, gray, whatever color you can get a hold of. I think this was like $4 or $5 at Hobby Lobby for that whole tub. I have several different ways of putting the little it's not a jump ring, but I guess sort of whatever you're going to attach it to your dangle string with. I can't talk today. Whatever you're going to use, whatever you're going to attach it to your dangle with. So this is the finished one, and it's still wet because I put gloss on it. Acorns in life, the nut part, or the outer casing of the nut, is glossy or semi-glossy, and so I've just put some clear gloss on it. You can use glossy accents. You could use gloss medium. I used this Aleene's jewelry glaze. This seems to take a little while to dry, a little bit longer than the medium or the glossy accents, but it still works good. And it was cheap, and it's at Walmart. So this is not dry, so I'm just gonna put this on a little wire here, and I'm gonna hang that up to let it finish drying. Okay, now there's several different ways to put the top on, or the connector on. This one I used a little bulb pin, and I drilled a tiny hole through that little stem. I really like this because it looks great. This one here, of course, is the little connector, and this is the ring fastener from Tim Holtz Ideology, and these look really good. This is what I had on the finished one over there, and I love this one, except the little flat piece here, that decorative piece, doesn't quite sit flat. I mean, I guess you could sand your little cap a little bit more flatter, and I didn't think about that. But anyway, it's just basically you're just putting a hole through your cap. You have to get rid of the little stem. You see that little stem? You have to get rid of that, and then just drill a hole down through the center, which you can see here, and spread those little tabs, legs, whatever you want to call them, and that holds it in. I suggest putting some glue under here to make sure that's secure, more secure. And then let's see, that's the bulb pin. And then this is probably this is the method that uses the least amount of tools, and it's just a kind of a soft wire, and I just punched a little hole in one on each side of the little stem, and I shoved the wire through there, and then kind of clamped that together. So whenever we make our acorn nut part out of the air dry clay, we'll glue that in there, put some glue in there, and then stick that little nut part, the nut, we'll just stick that in there, and that will be secure. The glue will definitely hold it, but that gives you a little area to put your string through, or a jump ring, or even a bulb pin, whatever you want to use. But that's the easiest way. So, and there's also, you can also put the two little holes and use a needle and thread, or one of these needle threaders, and run that through. I can show you how to do that too. So let's get started, and we will take this one, and I'll show you how to do the easiest one first, which requires the least bit of tools. So basically you will need an awl, pretty sharp, because these are delicate, so you don't want something that's really dull or a really rounded tip. So you need an awl. You will need some wire, and I just used, this is just the cheapest wire I could find, and it is 0.8 measurement of an inch, I guess. No, it wouldn't be an inch, millimeter, I don't know, 0.8. I don't know what size that would be, but anyway, it's not very thick. It's just very thin wire, and it's very soft. So you can see I'm just bending that with no problems. Okay, so you'll need a little piece of that. You'll need some wire cutters to be able to cut that, to cut your wire to make your hanger. So just a small piece of wire, and then just bend it over into a little loop. And you can see I'm just doing this with my fingers because it's such a soft wire. You could use copper wire if you wanted to. Alright, so we have those, and that's all you need for this method. You just want to be real careful. I hope I'm zoomed in enough. I don't know what that is. And you'll want to go on each side of your little stem. I hope you can see. I'm trying to kind of do sideways. Just poke a hole through, and you'll just kind of want to ream that out just a little bit so that you got enough room for your wire to poke through, and that's plenty. And then directly across from it, I'm holding this kind of down on my mat so that it's easier to poke that through there. Once you get it to go through, then you pick it up and just ream that through there. There we go. Now we have our two holes. Got your little wire. I have glue all over my hands. I'm going to spread that out just a little and push that through both holes, and there you are. And that's the easiest way. That's simple. You know, very, very few tools. Now I would take my little pliers here and go on the outsides of the wires and kind of push those in a little bit, that way till they touch. That way they it's going to be a little more secure in there. And I'm just going to pull, oh, just pulled it out. Stick that back in there. Alright, so you want to leave just a little bit of space, you know, so that you have room to put your string or chain or whatever through. Okay, there we go. So there's that way, right there. That's just the simplest way. And you would just take your jump ring or bulb pin or whatever you're going to connect it with and put that through. There you are. It's all good. I mean, maybe. And got the start of your little dangle. Okay. So there's that one. Now, and it just came out again. So we'll put that through. Make your wire just a little bit longer than what I did. Let's do that. Alright, so do this one more time. I don't want to make it too much longer, but there we go. So this is about an inch and a quarter. So just make our little loop. Okay. And then put that through our holes that we drilled. Try to leave just a little bit above that little stem. Kind of fiddly. And then go on the outsides of your wire. Squeeze those together. There we go. Okay, so that one's much better. Much, much better. So that one's definitely not going to come out. Now, I want to go ahead and make the little nut part. So I'm just going to grab just a little bit of this air dry clay, and that looks like a decent amount. Okay, so I'm just going to roll this into a ball. Just try to make it pretty smooth. Does not have to be perfect by any means. Okay, so we have our little nut right there. Take some glue, and I'm going to put some on the wires and then all around the edges of the cap, and then put some down in there. Okay, now this you want to push onto the wires and push it right up into that little cap, and that glue, when the glue dries, it'll definitely hold it. You see some coming out there, that's okay. So then you just, now you can see why I got glue all over my fingers, and you just want to kind of smooth it out around it, and then they have a little point at the very tip, which doesn't have to be perfect at all by any means. Okay, and you can see I have a big indentation right there, and that is perfectly fine. Does not bother me one bit. So just make a little point if you want to. You could also just make it rounded, does not matter, however you feel like doing it. And there you go, you have your little clasp or your little connector on there, and it's all made. Now you just got to let it dry, and then you can finish. Okay, now so we have the simplest method. This here is a little more involved. It's a little more fiddly, a little more delicate. And what I did was I took my hand drill. These, just get one on Amazon, they're like $5. They're so cheap, and they should come with a little bitty box of drill bits, and these are the teeniest little drill bits. I mean, there's different sizes, but they're just very, very small. I think I have the smallest one in here. Nope, that one's the smallest one. Anyway, this is just very, very fine. Just want enough that your wire or your bulb pin or safety pin, or, well, I don't know, I don't think you could use a safety pin, but anyway, your bulb pin or a jump ring or whatever will fit through it. So let me get a new one here. This one is, it's just a little fiddly. It's not too bad. Find a good area right down at the base of your stem, and the way this works is, of course, this is your drill bit. This little thing turns independently from the whole unit, okay? And that is to put your hand on and use your fingers to turn that. So you can see I'm turning this, but this little part stays still. Okay, so you would find a spot you want, and you just drill this through, and it just takes a minute or so. Just use your fingers to turn the drill body. You can see a little sawdust or whatever coming out of there. Kind of watch your fingers, you don't want to stab yourself. It's just about through. Sorry about the little squeaking. And there we go. It just popped right through there. So now we have that little hole for our bulb pin, and that just slides right in there. You can't get any easier than that, really. But you do have to have one of these, or you could use a Dremel with the teeny tiny bit, or you could use your power drill. Now there's mine, but you don't have to. So there's that one for the bulb pin. And then this one here, I'll show you how to do that. That one, you will need, I suggest, a pair of these side nippers. All that glue looks terrible. You need a pair of these flush cutters. These are just really cheap ones. I think they're about $3 or $4 at Menards, at Walmart, wherever. Just little bitty side nippers. You could use regular wire cutters, but you want to be really careful because they're a lot more bulky, so you might have a little problem with that. But take another one here. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start snipping that off. And as you get down here towards the main area of the cap, you want to be real careful so you don't break your cap. Kind of messy here. Okay, so that's pretty flat. We got that pretty flat. If you want to go beyond that, of course, you can gently sand that off. Try not to break your cap because they are pretty delicate. So you sand that off till it's flat or flatter. And there we go. Now we have a perfectly flat little area. Now I'm going to take my drill. I do recommend to mark where your center of your cap is, because it doesn't always seem to be where you think it's going to be. Done this a bunch of times. Oops. Okay, and then this is about maybe a 3/32 of an inch drill bit, and I'm just going to center it. Be real gentle. There we go. We got our hole for our little connector, and it's pretty good centered. Okay, and we'll just take one of these little guys. Excuse me. Now these come flat, and these little prongs are pretty long, so I am going to take my little wire cutter area here on these pliers, and I am just going to snip off just a little bit. That's maybe just about 1/8 of an inch, a little over 1/8 of an inch, just to cut those little things off just a little bit, because they're just too long to fit inside these caps. So then you put your little legs through there, and I'm going to use this awl to kind of spread them a little and get my fingernails in there. I know this is hard to see, I'm so sorry. I'm going to spread those out, try not to break your cap, and then just kind of spread them out as much as you can. And then I take my pliers and just flatten them out as much as possible in there. Okay, there we go. You see that? You just spread them out in between there. This one's sitting pretty flat, which is great. I think I sanded a little bit more than the other one there. And I'm just going to put some glue underneath that little connector, because I don't want that to go anywhere. And then of course you'll want to put it here too. Now, and then you'll have glue when you make your little acorn also. So there's that way. So we have several ways to do this now. That's our little hole for our bulb pin. And then there's the one we did with our just the plain wire. They look just fine. Any of them look great. So let's see. I think that's almost dry. And what I did was I wanted to colorize it, of course. So you can use alcohol inks. So here I have brown and orange from Bria Reese alcohol inks. You don't have to have those. I also used some Vintage Photo Distress ink. If you don't have the re-inker, just smush them out on your palette and use a paintbrush to paint it. If you do use the Distress ink, of course it's water reactive, so you will have to seal it really well with like a workable fixative or a clear spray or of some kind, because if you take a water-based glaze and put it over the distress ink, it's going to smear it. So you'll want to set it first. That's why I said, you know, either some kind of clear sealer or a workable fixative, one or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use the vintage photo, and we're just going to kind of paint it on. I want to put a little bit of water in that, and we're just painting it on. The finished one that I have there, I used the brown and orange alcohol inks on, and then I put some vintage photo over those alcohol inks just to mix all the colors together. It just looked really pretty that way. You definitely don't have to do that. Yeah, just painting this on here, and it dries pretty quick, of course, because it's, you know, it's the distress ink. And that right there gives you plenty of color. I mean, you could be done with it. I like to definitely put it on the cap also, just to give it a more cohesive, uniform color. Try not to touch it. Just paint that on there. And that one's ready to go. I mean, we can just take that and spray it to set it and then put our gloss on it, or you could just spray it to set it and it's good to go. Either way, so you don't have to gloss it if you don't want to. I'll do one here with some alcohol ink. Do this one. I know this is just a quick video, it's just very simple. And there's some brown. And then we got some orange. Hope you can see that. I think I'm in frame. I hope I am. Okay. Oops. And let's get some alcohol. I'll just put some in there. Alright. I'm going to start out with the lighter, the orange, with this one. Just paint that on. Just gives it that nice golden color. Try not to touch it too much. And there we go. There's the orange. I'm going to get me a little clamp. Find one so I can have easier hold on that. Here we go. Because I don't want to get fingerprints all over it. Okay, there, that's much easier. Alright, so now I want to get my brown. I'm just stay on there. My brown and just a little thing on there. Just gonna go over that. And they're usually striped kind of towards the little point, so that's why I'm painting in that direction. That way I don't have a whole bunch of weird blotches on oh my goodness, blobs or blotches all over it. And of course alcohol ink dries really fast, and you can go over it several times. You can see I'm making some striations. Some more orange mixed in there. Brown. And then of course you do your cap also. I mean, if you want to, of course. You don't have to do it. But I think it looks really good that way. Okay. And then I'm going to take that brown and I'm going to start at the little point tip and come outwards just to make it a little darker. Now you can also mix your vintage photo with alcohol and paint that on there as well if you want. There's interesting things going on. So I want that a little darker. So I want some stripes coming up. They don't have to be fantastic, just enough to give it a darker tip for me anyway. And then I'm going to go around my little cap and just give that just a little bit of dark up here by the cap. And spread that out just a tiny bit. There we go. Now after that's glossed, that's going to look great. I really like that. I think that's pretty. And wouldn't that look cute hanging on your little wildlife journal or your woodland theme or anything nature related, your herbal journal, you know, anything with nature. So there you go. And there's our little acorn finish there. This one's a darker one because I didn't put the oranges and stuff. You can also use regular acrylic paint or whatever paint you want. You know, you could use oils. And there we go. I think that's about it. It's just a real quick video. I got the inspiration from this little charm here. I thought that was cute, but I wanted something that was more three-dimensional because you can see that's flat on the back. So I came up with these. I think they're just adorable and they'll look fantastic dangling off your journal. So I hope you have fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I hope you make some of these. They're so easy and they're so cute. You can make a ton of them at one time. So thank you very much.